Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Year Round, and today I'm reviewing the new crypto crime thriller Cold Wallet. Something that is not only a tongue twister, but a new crime action thriller movie from Well Go USA Entertainment. It is being released in limited theaters as well as VOD this Friday, February 28th. And it's a movie I had a chance to check out a little bit early, and it's one I really enjoyed. Full disclosure, I know nothing about cryptocurrency. That's kind of like what this whole movie is about. I'm not a crypto person. Other than jokes and random internet memes, I don't know much about it. All that being said, I'm reviewing this movie not for its accuracy into how cryptocurrency works because I don't know anything about it. I'm just reviewing it as a movie. And as a movie, I enjoyed it. So let's get into Cold Wallet.
Home invasion, kidnapping, torture. And the night is still young.
First and foremost, let me define what a cold wallet is for those uninitiated, like myself, who didn't just Google it. A device or method for storing cryptocurrency keys offline. Cold wallets are also known as cold storage. Anyways, this movie features a group of characters. They all lose their money, lots of people lose their money, and they figure out the guy who did it. They figure out where he lives, and they're like, okay, we're going to go after him. And we're going to turn this into basically a hostage situation until he gives us the money back. Solid plan, in theory. In practice, because it's a thriller movie, of course everything goes wrong. I'm going to keep this spoiler free. All I'll say is the longer it goes on, the more mistakes they make, the more tense things get. And that's about all I can say about the plot without spoiling it. Again, this is a movie I do recommend you go and see, whether it's on demand or whether you can find a theater nearby playing it. Now, let me talk about specifically what I liked about the movie. So, first and foremost, I really, really like the cast. You've got a great trio of leads in the form of Raul Castillo, whom you may recognize from Army of Dead or Smile 2, Tony Cavallero, whom you may recognize from The Righteous Gemstones and the School of Rock TV show, and Melanie Diaz, whom you may recognize from The Belko Experiment and the Charmed reboot. Really solid cast. And I love the way they kind of play off each other. And I love that they're not perfect criminals. Like, this is their first burglary slash hostage situation. And they're not very good at it. And it makes sense that they wouldn't be. But you get the motives behind them. You get that there's this anger and there's this frustration that like it's the little guy against the big guy. And whether that's in crypto, whether that's in anything, it feels like the odds are stacked against you, when that's your situation. I remember the GameStop thing. You had a bunch of Redditors who basically gamed the system and shorted. Again, I don't pretend to. I'm giving a very rudimentary understanding that I have of the situation. But as far as I understand it, a bunch of Redditors beat Wall Street at their own game involving GameStop stock. And boy, did they close that loophole and did they change the law seemingly overnight. Not to get political, but I have never seen Democrats and Republicans in Congress come together that quickly to get legislation passed. So I get their frustration and I get just being a millennial living in the 2020s. It's not that we all want to get rich quick, but it's that we crave financial stability in an ever chaotic world, and something like crypto seems appealing. There's risk to it, and they kind of knew that risk, but they feel like they've been ripped off. So you get that they've been pushed far enough that they're willing to potentially harm or kill Josh Brenner, whom you may recognize from Saturday Night and, of course, Silicon Valley, where he's basically playing the evil version, you know, of that show. I love how, and again, I'm going to keep the spoiler free. I love how he kind of he tries very hard to get into their heads, and he tries to like pit them against each other. And boy, does that feel like it's close to real life, where you have these people on the top that try to convince all the people down here that we are enemies of each other, when really it should be all these people coming together to get the guy up here. It's very Robin Hood esque, but like all vigilante justice, like all would be Robin Hoods, things get really messy, and I like that it doesn't go smoothly. It all hell breaks loose. And I gotta say, as someone who I review a lot of movies, both very, very big budget and very, very small budget. And when you have the lower budget ones, sometimes they are limited by their budget. Sometimes you're like, oh well, yeah, the effects could have looked better, or this scene could have been staged better. For its budget, it's a really solid, like almost action thriller. It's not that there's like big action set pieces, but there's stunts, there's fight scenes. The choreography is on point, the cinematography is on point. You've got this like beautiful snowy forest landscape as a backdrop. It's just a good looking movie that you don't see too much when you're doing cinematography on a budget like this. As for, what's the movie going for? What's it trying to say? Ultimately, I think people are going to look at this movie and they're going to say, "Oh, well, is it trying to make a statement on crypto as a whole?" I know that there have been a ton of examples of people being ripped off and scammed by it. That's part of the reason why I myself have never dabbled. It just seems like too big a risk for me. I don't think the movie is necessarily anti crypto or even like pro crypto. It's anti corruption, and it's pro the little guy, trying to get his own justice. It's also pro reality in that the justice is often messy and doesn't work out the way that you think it's going to work out. But hey, these are just my thoughts. This is just my review. I really enjoyed this movie. It's one that I never would have even heard of if someone hadn't kind of sent me something. Oh, hey, check out this movie, Cold Wallet. And I'm really, really glad I did. I love being introduced to, a movie like this, one that I never would have heard of before, but that I can go on and recommend to you guys if you're looking for just like a fun but tense sort of crime thriller where you're rooting for the characters, but it's also kind of getting into morally gray territory. This is probably a movie for you. I definitely recommend checking it out. Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up getting ripped off by Halloween year round cryptocurrency, mostly because it doesn't exist. But if you want to send me money, feel free. That is not no, that was a joke. That was a joke. This is not a joke. As always, every day is Halloween.